Hi everybody, John back again. Thought I'd quickly jump on this thread while there's still some albums to show that haven't been shown before. So James Griffiths showed 11 hard rock albums progressively from 1970 to 1980. So yeah, he showed some classics, great stuff. Well done, James. I'm going to jump in here. I tried to avoid, you know, some of the real big ones that if people jump on this thread will get shown more than often. However, 1970 was a bit tricky. So here I'm going to show you Purple in Rock, 1970. A lot of people say that this is, you know, where they really sort of developed their sound, the sound that they became most famous for. And yeah, it's a good album. Although I must admit, I find it a little bit inconsistent, but you know, maybe they're still learning that trick at this stage. The next album is an old copy of Look at Yourself by Uriah Heep. Came out in 1971. I like this because it's got the original sort of mirror effect here. Although yeah, it's seen better days. It's a bit rough with the you know, the yellow sellotape that people used to put on records to keep them, hold them together, I guess. This is the inner sleeve. I've got the record in there in a different sleeve. Yeah, great records, really good. Uriah Heep, we don't really hear much about Uriah Heep in the VC, do we? I wonder why that is. So, 1972 we're at now, and here I've got a copy of Humble Pie. Smoking, I think, is about their, oh, is it the third or the fourth album that released? Great hard rock album. It's funny because, you know, although it's described as being hard rock, and if you read up about it, it'll be described as hard rock. Yeah, things have developed so far, so a lot since then, that you know, we've become so desensitized. A lot of hard rock made in this time really doesn't sound that hard. If anything, it's on a par with, you know, regular rock now, for instance. But yeah, with a bit of imagination, you can hear this. And of course, Steve Marriott is full on, you know, in this. He sort of drives up the energy of any record that he's on, I think. Anyway, great album. Okay, 1973, Loud and Proud, Nazareth. Nazareth are brilliant, they really are. I think personally they're well ahead of their time. And I think, you know, it's fair to say that Guns N' Roses really borrowed a lot from the Nazareth sound. And I think they did it fairly well too. But, well, Nazareth, a great band, so that's 1972. Company, 1973. This is another one of those bands, you know, this is sort of described as being hard rock in its day, but yeah, with the development of what hard rock really is and what it represents now, it doesn't really sound very hard rocky. It sounds pretty much like rock, you know. And there's the inside of the gatefold. Right, this is one of my favourite albums of of all time. I say that about a lot of records, but this one really, really is good. So what are we on, 75 now, I think? This is Fawcett by UFO. I never really did understand this. I mean, Fawcett, what it's all about. Of course, now I know that Fawcett is sort of the American way that they might say tap. This is a tap. What we would say is a tap here in the UK. In America, they call it a faucet. And at the same time, sort of playing the words, that whatever's going on here is obviously, being forced upon him. Great record, really, really good record. It's got Michael Schenker on guitar, and I like to think when I listen to this record, you can really hear an influence that they had on Iron Maiden, because there's a certain sound to it that I think you can hear in some of those early Iron Maiden albums. They've obviously been listening to this. Why not? Michael Schenker was an amazing guitarist in his day. So that's Fawcett by UFO. 76. Here we've got Budgie. If I were Britannia, I'd waive the rules. I like Budgie a lot. Welsh band. It's on AMM. Picked this one up in Sweden. I can tell you that because it has in the corner the NK. That's Nordiska Kompaniet. It's their sticker. So somebody bought this there. I didn't buy in there because it would have probably cost twice as much as it would have done anywhere else in Sweden. Encore is a bit like it's about the closest Sweden will get to having a Harrods, for instance. Bit of an exclusive shop. But yeah, great record. I think it's their second album. No, it's not. It's not second album. It's about the fourth or the fifth, I think. I get confused with Budgie albums, I must say. 77. Here we've got Judas Priest. This is what's it called? Sin After Sin. Really good album. Definitely sort of early purveyors of heavy metal, I think. Judas Priest, especially at this time. And what's good about this album, apart from anything else, is that it's got the track Diamonds and Rust on it, which is a cover of a Joan Baez song. And it also has Dissident Aggressor, is the last track on the album, which is a song that Slayer covered. Did a really good job of that too. Sin After Sin. 77. Where am I on 70? Yeah, I lost. Yeah, 79. Sorry. So that must have been 78. So 79. Here we've got Frank Marino and Mahogany Rush. I think this is so far the only non-British band or album that I'm showing in this collection here. I think Frank Marino comes from Canada, doesn't he? I'm not really sure. It's a great record. It's described often as being stoner rock, which is an unusual way to describe it. It's quite, I guess it is quite spacey. Definitely hard rock as well. I'll even do a little needle drop of this. This is a really good record. got Gary Moore on guitar in this one. I think it's their second from last album, and it's got some really interesting guitar work on here. Got a very sort of strong Irish sound to it, and yeah, I think I could probably even do a bit of a nil drop of this. Beautiful record. Really nice. Will the mountains mourn come down to the sea? Will she know come back to me? Will she know come back to me? Oh, she don't know I hear you calling far away. You roll okay, here we go. 1980, Van Halen. Women and Children First. When I discovered Van Halen, I really went on a sort of a big Van Halen trip and sort of consumed all of their albums within the space of a couple of years. played the hell out of them, because they were really good. I don't listen to them so much these days, probably because there's so much else to listen to, isn't there? But when I got into them, I really got into them. And I do think it's interesting. It's an interesting point that after Eddie Van Halen, a lot of guitarists just began to sound the same. Everybody started shredding, and so a lot of the sort of the old guard, your Ricky Blackmores and your Michael Schenkers and all these different guitarists up until that date, they seem to kind of just sort of disappear, I suppose, because the thing to do after this, or after Eddie Van Halen, was to shred and do lots of this fancy fretwork, almost like, you know, playing scales up and down. Yeah, I always consider that when I think about Van Halen records. But yeah, they had a lot of energy in them, and they still do if you listen to them. Okay, so that brings us up to 1980. Hope that was a little bit interesting. Good idea for a thread, James. Looking forward to seeing other contributions to this thread as well. Okay, thanks very much. Check out my next video. Bye.